worth it. Don't feel bad about billing the customer. I mean, I do it every day, all day. And I don't feel bad at all because they have a Mercedes in there because the Mercedes is a better car than the Honda. It's twice as much. Is it twice as better? Maybe not, but it's better. And guess what? If you want something better, you are going to pay, and that's just the society we live in. I can get a stereo or a TV, and I could spend twice as much. It doesn't mean it's twice as better. It's just better, and if you want better, you're going to pay for it. It's just you can't feel bad about it because if you start thinking about it, you could talk yourself out of anything, and you obviously don't want to do that. So, anyway, I was just distracted with, what was I talking about again? The homeless person just sitting there talking, and, he has his tarps up, and he's sitting there talking to another dude, and I'm thinking, they're satiated by the way, it's like a little compound now. They got walls and roofs and this, and they add to it, and, that satisfies them, and then they're satisfied, so then they do whatever. But you need to be shooken up. They need to be uncomfortable, and it's a horrible way to live. And I think anybody that encourages that, from a government standpoint, that it used to be the government was made of wise men, in the Bible, wise men. They went out to look for Jesus, and nowadays, where are these wise men in government leading us? I'm not saying they're totally screwed up, because I don't know if I could do a better job. But if you're going to take that office, the most basic thing is you fight for what is good for your city, for the numbers. And then when you get these, let's say if it's a few hundred people that make you feel uncomfortable because now you're telling them, hey, you can't stay in a public park. Well, all you got to do is reach out to churches and different groups, and there's different groups that'll help rehabilitate, but you can't harbor these actions, because then you just become an enabler, and the bigger these camps get, the more people that are going to be lured into it. It's just like any mass. Once it gets big enough, the gravity gets bigger, and it's going to be easier to draw people in. And then, like I said, with all the pitfalls that it has. So, I got no problem talking to the mayor. I knew the former mayor, but I don't know about this one in there now. So, when I do talk to him, and if I do in my passings, it's got to be brought up. You cannot do this stuff and expect for your city to look the same in 10 years. I mean, because it's like, you look at LA when I drive by, it just gets worse and worse. You look at the RVs parked everywhere. They turn into like RV cities, and eventually your city gets to where it's inhabitable, and then the quality of life goes down up so many notches. But it's slow and steady. But I think the last year the homeless rate grew like by 20%, and this is the way you got to look at it, and I'll kind of just wrap it up real quick, is when we go to war, it's to sustain our way of life. And the change comes really quick, obviously, if we were to be taken over by another country. So it's easier to be like, no, this is what we got to do to stop it. Some people are going to get hurt, some people are going to get offended, but we need to save our way of life. LA has changed to where the way of life has gone down significantly. Sure, people say, oh, if you try to stop them, you're harassing them. And I'm talking about the people, if they're selling, the corn and mayonnaise on the corner and replacing restaurants, that hurts our way of life. And you have to, and I'm not saying we got to go to war over it, but, fix bayonets. What I'm saying is you at least have to call it what it is. It's a threat to our way of life. And if you're not going to try to preserve it, guess what, guys? Get used to living in it. And when you're, on your deathbed and you see your grandkids and that's their new norm, and you could tell them all about how great it was when you were younger, but you didn't have the guts to stand up and tell them, hey, we want the American way of life, and we gotta offend some people to keep it.